guys, I'm going to talk to you guys something other than boxing because boxing profiles, we cover sports and more. So, what I want to do today is I want to bring you guys some spectacular finishes in track and field. Now, I know some of you guys might have seen this, but when I saw this, I thought that this was just outstanding. So, I'm bringing it to you one more time for people that speak English. All right. So, also, just enjoy the video. You like this sort of comment? I mean, sorry, you like this sort of content? Like, subscribe to the channel, guys. Okay, like, subscribe to the channel. Write something in the comment section for me, please. All right. Okay, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen with you guys. So check this out right here.
The 2022 World Track and Field Championships have finally come to an end, and after 10 consecutive days of what seemed to be relentless record-breaking performances, we found ourselves in a new era of track and field, or at least that's what it feels like. For these championships, we saw the 35-year-old Shelly Ann Fraser-Price not only become a five-time champion in the 100-meter dash, but she also broke the Masters world record twice in the women's 200, running times of 21.82 in the semifinals and 21.81 in the finals. Next, we saw one of the most talented up-and-coming athletes in the world in Allison Dos Santos from Brazil, who upset both Rai Benjamin and Karsten Vorholm in the men's 400-meter hurdles, clocking an absolutely stunning time of 46.29 seconds to take the victory. Lastly, we saw the 22-year-old superstar Armand Duplantis end this entire event rather poetically with a new all-time world record in the men's pole vault, hitting a new height of 6.21 meters, which translates to 20 feet and 4 inches. An unbelievable height by the still rather young athlete, and as you can see, he still had plenty of height to spare. These are just a few key moments that made this year's championships one of the most exciting and captivating global events in recent memory. However, for this video, we're going to be talking about one specific performance that was so revolutionary that it took down one of the longest standing records in all of track and field. In the men's 200-meter finals, Noah Lyles threw down the performance of his life, hitting the line in 19.31 seconds, a time that not only took down this world-class field, but it also broke the 26-year-old American record from the one and only Michael Johnson. All the way back in the 1996 Atlanta Olympic Games, Johnson achieved one of the most iconic performances in Olympic history, crushing his own previous world record of 19.66 seconds, while taking down a very strong field by over 0.3 of a second. Johnson's opening half and subsequent final 100 meters was a nearly flawless run at the time, and it proved beyond any doubt that he was one of the greatest sprinters to ever compete. This moment has since gone down as a true pillar of sprinting history, and with split times of 10.14 for his opening 100 and 9.18 seconds for his second 100, he showcased amazing sprinting strength to take the gold medal here. However, when we take a look at Noah Lyles' 200-meter splits, we see something quite interesting that speaks volumes about his true potential. He ran his opening 100 meters in 10.15 seconds, which was 1/100th of a second slower than Michael Johnson. However, for his closing 100 meters, he managed a time of 9.16, which is actually the second fastest closing 100 in 200-meter history. Now, the only athlete to ever run faster over the closing 100 meters is actually not Usain Bolt. It's Johan Blake back in 2011 when he ran a time of 19.26 seconds, and he did this with a closing 100 meters of 9.12. Simply unbelievable. This race is just insane. In fact, if you want to take a look at just how ridiculous this performance truly was, I'll leave a link up in the top-hand corner right now. However, for Noah Lyles, the reason that these split times are so significant is because it points to the fact that he can clearly run faster, and the evidence is in his shorter sprinting capabilities. Compared to Michael Johnson, Lyles' 100-meter personal best is over 0.2 of a second faster, which displays a clear advantage to Lyles in getting a stronger start. For this 19.31, Lyles was actually trailing behind Johnson by the smallest of margins, And while it was certainly an incredible bend for Noah Lyles, he only broke the record because he closed his second 100 in a very impressive manner. If Lyles can use his 9.8-second 100-meter speed and open with a 100 time of, say, 10.10, he would actually tie Johan Blake at 19.26 seconds. This is completely realistic, especially when we see that Michael Johnson opened his first half in 10.15. If we go back to the 2008 Olympic Games, when Usain Bolt ran his time of 19.30, he ran his first 100 in 9.98, followed by a second half of 9.32. Now, for the opening 100, Bolt is the unequivocal GOAT, so it's not really fair to compare him to anyone else when it comes to the first half. However, his second half is significantly slower than what Noah Lyles just achieved, and when we pair this sprinting strength with his racing consistency, we see a formula for a potential world record from Noah Lyles. So far in 2022, Lyles has only ran under 20 seconds for every 200-meter race that he's entered, which is certainly impressive given that he's run 9 races this season. Lyles' 19.31 will forever be remembered as a moment where preparation, patience, and perfect performance all collided into a masterfully executed race. His opening bend was strong, his form never wavered, and even though he had tremendous competition from Arian Knighton and Kenny Bednarek, he was never in any danger throughout this entire race, and winning was the only thing that was going to happen here. After the race, Lyles looked straight to the clock and couldn't help but notice the rather coincidental time that was lit up on the screen. At the time, the finish only read 19.32 seconds, which was of course Michael Johnson's previous American record. And the funny thing about this moment is that the very second that Lyles turned away from the screen, the time actually shifted down to 19.31 almost instantly. This was a rather humorous moment, and it only prolonged the suspense for Lyles for perhaps another minute. But upon learning that he did in fact break Michael Johnson's record, you can imagine that he was absolutely overjoyed at the history that he had just made. For almost 3 straight years, Lyles had been stuck as the 4th fastest runner in 200 history, holding a PR from 2019 at 19.50. This time is also quite remarkable, but in yet another development this season, the 18-year-old Arian Knighton had actually knocked Noah Lyles down to the 5th fastest athlete in history, given Knighton's new PB of 19.49 that he achieved earlier this year on April 30th. Perhaps it was a chip on his shoulder that made Lyles run so well at this year's championships, or perhaps it was just the perfect combination of mature training finally paying off when he needed it the most. But it does seem as though the biggest factor for Noah Lyles was his mental state going into this year's World Championships. Now, over the previous 12 months, Lyles has stated multiple times that in 2021, building up to Tokyo, he just wasn't in the right headspace. And even though he did earn the bronze medal with a time of 19.74, he was quite disappointed with his overall performance in 2021. Even if we just examine his body language, Lyles in 2022 was a completely different athlete. He was relaxed, he was confident, but above everything else, he was enjoying himself, and that was unquestionably one of the key factors to his victory in 2022. Since 2018, Lyles has now held the fastest time in the world in the 200 meters, and 4 years in a row was already a record. However, for 2022, it most certainly looks as though he will once again be the fastest athlete in the world in the 200 meters. Thanks for watching, everyone, and as always, until next time.
There you go, folks. Wow. Wow. I mean, wow. That was some fast running from a human being. But you notice there was something that the commentator said in there that goes, what I have to say, would go to all athletes in the world. And that is, when it's your time for you to be great, you have to have concentration, peace of mind, and you have to be relaxed if you're going to be great. Boxers, you only have 3 minutes to be great. Track and field, you only have seconds to be great. Competition shooters, the same thing. You have seconds to be great. So you have to practice the craft and the sport that you are in. And Boxing Profiles wants to bring out all of these great athletes so people could know who they are. There are so many great athletes out there that we don't even know who they are because they're not being marketed. So that's what Boxing Profiles wants to bring to you. All these athletes that are not known, but they are yet great athletes from high school all the way up to their professional careers is what we want to do. So yes, if you want to be marketed, hit me up, Boxing Profiles TV. Okay, you can catch me on Twitter, YouTube. I'm on Instagram. Excuse me. I'm also on Facebook, and we also have Boxing Profiles, the TV channel. Okay, so folks, we'll be bringing you a lot more content, not only boxing, a lot more content to come. Like I said before, we have great things in store for you. I know that these videos you could go to, different places and see these videos, but I'm bringing it to you once again because this is a great, great achievement. Unbelievable times in that track and field event. Unbelievable times. I mean, man, woo! I mean, these guys. I mean, the smoke is probably still on his shoes from this dude running so fast like that. I mean, man, that is fast, man. Unbelievable. I was super impressed. Super, super impressed. All right, guys, that's all I got for you guys. You guys have a great day. Remember something. Keep punching. Don't get punch drunk. Peace. I'm out.